Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. It's a purple day for epilepsy awareness, and Barrier Breakers Youth Initiative Career Department organized this session for you to listen about the milestones in epilepsy journey by our speaker. Today's session, we are starting at 7:50 p.m. and our moderator will be Daniel Kitavi, who will be guiding us through the session. So welcome, Daniel, for some insights, and then you will welcome the speaker. Karibuni.
Thank you very much, Katile. Good evening, people. Can you be able to hear me, please? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Katile, for the opportunity Okay. All right. So thank you very much for the opportunity to moderate the session today. Today's session is about epilepsy, and we are very much privileged to have one of the. I think I can hear myself. There's somebody who is not on mute, kindly. Okay. So as I was saying, today's session is all about epilepsy, and we are privileged to have a very, what do I call her? A very experienced communicator with experience on epilepsy. So today's session, we are gonna talk about epilepsy, and before we start, I'd like to inform you that about the rules that will be guiding this session. First and foremost, if you will not be communicating, kindly please unmute. And if you have any questions later on, we will be able to give you the chance to ask and yeah, about the session. So let's keep the chat box alive. Let's keep everything alive. If you have any questions, just reserve them. At the end of this session, we will give each and every one of you a chance to participate. So I can see we are already at how many participants? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're already at 9. So I think we are in order to start. The rest watatupata tukiendelea, right? So it is my humble opportunity to welcome Miss Vallent Adhiambo to take us through today's session. If you have any questions, as I said earlier on, please reserve them. We will give you a chance at the end of the briefing to continue. It's Vallent Adhiambo. Vallent.
Good evening, everyone. I am glad to be here. I hope your evening is good. And I can say that we welcome you all to this session. I've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. And finally, I'm glad to be here. I don't know where to start from. Maybe David can guide me on particularly where do we start from?
I think, Vallent, it will be in order if you could introduce yourself and your organization. Okay. Yeah, and your journey.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for the guidance. I appreciate it. My name is Vallent Rachel Adhiambo. I'm the founder of Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment. Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment is based in Migori County, Rongo Sub-County, and it was founded by me 4 years ago when I lost my job wherever I was working. I don't want to mention the organization right now, but I lost my job where I was working for 2 years. And the main reason why I lost my job was because I'm epileptic. So when I lost my job, it was not the first time that I'm losing my job because I'm epileptic. No, I think it was the fourth or third time that I'm losing my job, that I was losing my job because I'm epileptic. But then this time round, I felt like, no, I'm done with this issue of employment. And I was like, I really felt hurt. So I asked myself, what next? I'm leaving employment right now, but then what am I going to do? Am I just going to sit at home and rest and idle around my mother, or what am I going to do? So after some time, I got some thoughts about trying to create awareness, epilepsy awareness in my community. That is the schools around me, the churches around me, so that I can just create awareness based on my journey and experiences as a person with epilepsy, because I'm not a medic. And so I was just creating awareness based on my own experience. So when I started that back in 2020 when I lost my job. I lost my job in 2020 March and started that one in 2020 April. So by that time, I was just doing it individually, just walking from school to school, church to church, creating awareness, telling people about my journey and experiences as a person with epilepsy. And then later on, that is in 2021, I decided to register an organization, a CBO, that is community-based organization. And that is when we registered Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment. And as I was doing the registration, because when I was doing the awareness sessions, people would ask me, now, you've taught us well. You've told us your experience, you've shared, and then we are also facing the same challenges. But now, what is the solution? I didn't have the solution except to connect them with my then doctor. That doctor had been introduced to me by one of my colleagues where I was working before I started the organization. The colleague of mine just approached me and told me, I want to give you a doctor's contact so that you can try. Actually, he used the term try, because with epilepsy, people do not know whether it's manageable or it can be cured. So he just told me, just go and try your luck, because my niece is there, my nephew is there, and we've seen a great change in him. So I went to see the doctor. The doctor was so nice to me. And then after that, when I started the organization, I informed the doctor. And the doctor told me, I will just start. I will support you. So when I started the organization, when the people I was meeting were asking me, you've taught us well, now what next? What's the solution? The doctor, I was referring them to this doctor, to my doctor. He used to come for monthly epilepsy clinics in Kindu Bay, somewhere in Kindu Bay. So I used to refer all the clients to Kindu Bay, including me. I also used to go to Kindu Bay instead of Kisumu, where he has his own clinic. So we continued like that, and then until one time, the same clients that we were going to Kindu Bay to see the neurologist started pressurizing me. No, Kindu Bay is very far from Migori County, because I could have clients from as far as Sirare border. So they were telling me, Kindu Bay is very far. We want our own clinic within Migori County. Oh, I was so much stressed up because, one, I'm not a medic. I don't have any license. And so I was like, where will I get the drugs? Who will prescribe these drugs to me? And where am I even going to do the clinic? So on the process, I'm a very outgoing person. I shared this with a friend of mine. This friend of mine told me, I can talk to my brother because his brother had a clinic at the center, Kanga Center. So he told me we can go and talk to his brother so that his brother can allow us to hold our monthly epilepsy sessions at his clinic. So when we went, we spoke to the brother. The brother agreed, but on one condition, that all the drugs that the clients would buy, he will be the one stocking and selling to them. So for me, my work was just to do the mobilization, bring the doctor, my neurologist, and then the rest, after they've seen the doctor, they will buy the drugs which belong to the owner of the clinic. That was his only way of benefiting in this program. So we did that for some time, and it was working. My doctor was coming there, sacrificing, volunteering, because sincerely speaking, if you know, just a session with the neurologist, consultation fee is 3,000 shillings. Hiyo ni kidogo. Hiyo ni the lowest amount. So that my doctor used to volunteer because I was not giving him anything. I didn't have anything to pay him in return. So we went there for around 3-4 months. Then after that time, something happened to us that forced us, or rather pushed us, to move out of this clinic and open our own office and clinic where we run our monthly epilepsy clinic. And that was my turning point. So when we started that, running our own monthly epilepsy clinic in our own space, our office at Rakwaro, it was mixed with challenges here and there because I didn't know where to get the drugs. I didn't even have a license. I was not registered, but through the grace of God, we managed. And this is our 4th year in managing epilepsy within Migori, Homa Bay County, and some part of the Western Kenya. And so far, it has been fulfilling, but not so easy. So as far as Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment is concerned, that is my journey, how I started Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment until today. Back to you, Devi.
All right, thank you very much, Vallent. And I can see you've talked a lot about the center and how you started the center. A quick question to you. Do you only operate in Nyanza province, or are you, well spread within the rest of the country?
Okay. For a CBO is only allowed to operate within its county of registration. But being that we are dealing with health issues which are very sensitive, we can operate anywhere as far as we have so long as we are registered and well known. So right now we are operating within Migori and Homa Bay counties respectively, but we have clients coming from different parts of the country. I even have clients coming all the way from Nairobi. I have clients coming all the way from Western, Bungoma, Kisumu, but when they come, we can't just tell them that, we can't work with you because we are only allowed to work within Migori County. But we are registered to work in Migori and Homa Bay counties only. Yes.
All right, so tell us it's more were diagnosed with epilepsy and how the journey has been for you.
Well, I was not born with epilepsy, but I developed epilepsy when I was 1.5 years old. And according to my neurologist, when I developed epilepsy because my mother had a prolonged labor during my birth. It took her so long when she was in labor pain. And that one stressed my brain, because, epilepsy is lack of enough oxygen to the brain. So during that process, there was no enough oxygen from my mother to me, and that is how I developed epilepsy. So when I developed epilepsy at 1.5 years old, my mother, as all mothers, or rather all parents can do, she's tried to seek for medication here and there, kienyeji, and even hospitals, but it was not an easy task, to the extent that they got even divorced with my dad, because my dad was feeling like, no, this bad disease is not from my lineage, and so I can't accommodate you people. It is a bad omen to my family. But my mother stood firm and supported me. So I used to be taken for different kind of treatments, and at some point it was managed. Sometimes it comes back, so it was not on and off. But I remember when I was in primary school, there was a time, I think I was, back then we were calling it class 5, not grade like right now. I was in class 5, and I remember I was taken to a herbalist who gave me some herbs to drink, boil and drink. And after that, my epilepsy condition was really managed well, until when I was in high school, Form 2. That is when I started getting a series of serious attacks. So it disappeared for around 7 to 8 years, and then came back. But when it came back, it was very, very strong and severe compared to when it started. So back in high school, it was not so easy. It was a challenge, because people could not, including my teachers, could not understand my condition. They could not understand me, including me. I was not understanding the condition. So for them, they were feeling like most of the time towards exam, that is when I get so much attack. So they were feeling like I fear exam, or I don't want to be in school, being that I was in a boarding school, not knowing that epilepsy doesn't want anything straining the brain. Be it you are too excited, be it you are too low, be it you are anxious, it doesn't want anything extreme. So during exams, I used to have a series of attacks, which made my teachers believe that I fear exams, not knowing that during exams somebody experienced a lot of so much anxiety. Two, during exams, people do not sleep well because they are trying to read so that they can pass the exams. So the missing of sleep is also a trigger to epilepsy. But they didn't know, and I didn't know as well. So that journey was not so easy, until to the point when I reached Form 4. First term, we were sent home for school fees, but because my mother didn't have enough money by that time, I stayed home for a whole term. When I went back for the late registration in second term, my principal refused to register me, because she felt like I've been at home, and since I have epilepsy, I might not do well, and I might drag the school's mean down. So she refused to register me. It's only somebody who came to my rescue, who called somebody from NEC. And that person called my principal and asked her a lot of questions, which forced her to call my parents. so that I can be brought back to school. That was high school. After high school, I took around 3 years before going to joining college because of lack of enough school fee, lack of enough funds. So I was just hustling here and there because I'm a very active person. I was hustling here and there, but at times it was so tough for me because if I get stressed a little bit, if I get malaria, I could get attacks. Even my employers were not so easy on me because they were feeling like I could not, they were feeling like I was not delivering due to my epilepsy condition. So I navigated through, went to college and finished. And then after college, I was employed, I think, thrice. And the first time I was terminated because I have epilepsy. I had an attack and could not go to work. So when I called my supervisor, she just asked me, halafu sasa? Kama ukuji halafu sasa? Then the next day when I struggled and went to work, reported to work, I was given a termination letter. Then that is that was the second time. The third time, after the third termination, that is when I decided to start Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You can also talk about something about your treatment process. How was the treatment journey from the time you were small? I mean, I recall saying that this is something that you actually inherited or you were born with. Yeah. So the treatment from the time you were young up to now.
Well, the treatment has been mixed. Both
like,
traditional, the tradition. Pardon?
Oh, sorry. I was asking, has it been easy for you to access medications, maybe? And to just you can also say something about Kenya's treatment plan for epilepsy. Like, how is the treatment? What do you call it? Treatment process. Is it easy to access treatment in Kenya, especially for somebody with a condition like yours? So,
okay, my treatment journey has not been easy as well because it's so hard to try to treat something that you don't understand. I used to go see doctors, different doctors, who could not even explain to me what was wrong with me. They only tell me you have epilepsy, period. And they could prescribe drugs, not even telling me how to use those drugs well, what the do's and the don'ts. So it was not easy for me. Even at one point, I stopped going to the hospital and started using this traditional medicine, which to some extent, sometimes it used to work, sometimes it never used to work. But I was just between hospital, traditional medicine, hospital, traditional medicine. Then the anti-epileptic drugs are very, very expensive and unavailable in Kenya. That is one of the major challenges. Another thing that I know with the anti-epileptic drugs in Kenya, even if you get the right drugs, maybe the doctor that has prescribed you your medication might not be the right doctor. Generally, our hospitals, especially the government hospitals, use the CEOs, the clinical officers, or the general doctors. So we don't have enough specialists in our government hospitals. And so you can find, well, I have epilepsy. The doctors diagnosed me with epilepsy. He knows the anti-epileptic drugs, the right ones, but the combination, the anti-epileptic drug combination, the dosage is wrong, might be wrong. And so I will be going for the treatment, I will be taking my medication, but without proper explanation on how the prescription should be working or on the combination, I want to get help. Instead, my condition will be worsening daily. So in our government, we lack the anti-epileptic drugs. Two, we lack enough doctors, specialists who can do the right prescription to our people with epilepsy. And so that leads to you find somebody has epilepsy, he's using anti-epileptic drugs, but either the drug is not the right one, depending on the type of epilepsy that he or she has, or the dosage or the drug combination is wrong. And so the condition keeps worsening. Those are some of the challenges that we've seen here in Kenya. Or you can even go to the hospital, the public hospitals. You get, you see a doctor, then after that you are being told, we do not have the anti-epileptic drugs here. Go and buy them from outside chemists. If you go there, the common mwananchi will not afford because the anti-epileptic drugs in pharmacies, because they are very expensive. So it has not been easy. And that is one of the things that we are advocating for. We are asking the government of Kenya to chip in so that even epilepsy can also, the anti-epileptic drugs can be easily available in our local hospitals. Yeah.
All right, and my final question to you before I open the floor so that my colleagues can also ask some few. Where are we in terms of, like, statistically, where are we in terms of the number of people who are infected by epilepsy? Because one thing that I've noticed in our country, we are glorifying other diseases. Like look at, for example, look at the cancer, look at other diseases. They are zimeongelelewa sana huko nje. All right, zimeongelelewa sana huko nje. But when it comes to epilepsy, people are very much blank about epilepsy. So where are we in terms of statistics? What are the statistics saying about the number of people who are actually infected with epilepsy? And what are the measures must be taken in to maybe sensitize, maybe bring the country into on course to do?
Well, right now, I don't have the exact statistics of persons with epilepsy in Kenya as a country. And this is as a result of a lot of things. One of the major challenge is the stigmatization that comes with epilepsy. Many people do not want to accept that they are epileptic. Many people do not want to open up and talk about their epilepsy condition openly. And so that make it so difficult to for the country to even know the exact statistics of people with epilepsy within the country. So you'll find that it is just a rough estimate, but what I know is globally, around 50 million people in the world have epilepsy. So in Kenya, it is so difficult because of the stigmatization that comes with epilepsy. Watu hawajitokezi, wako na kifafa. So ni ngumu sana kujua ni watu wangapi wako na kifafa.
Like, still people are not that much sensitized about epilepsy and and everything that's around.
Well, sensitization is not so well done yet, though organizations are coming up right now to do that. But even with the little sensitization that is there is what we call living in denial. Many people with even ask when we walk in the community, you know very well that so and so has a child that is epileptic, but they hide them. They don't want to agree. They don't want to accept that they are epileptic or they have children with epilepsy. because of the stigmatization surrounding epilepsy. People believe that if you have epilepsy, then it can be transferred. When I get an attack and somebody touches me, I can transfer that condition to another person. It is a curse, So not so many people would like to associate with people with epilepsy, and that alone can make somebody not to accept that that he or she has epilepsy, and that one also interferes with the statistics.
All right.
Yes.
So, as you know, our very guest to take a break, I know I've asked you a lot of questions. I hope the one that much consecutive, at least tulikuwa napata wakati wa kupumua kidogo, si ndio?
It's okay.
Yeah, so in the meantime, if anybody has a question, maybe about epilepsy or whatever Vallent has talked about, the floor is now yours. Kindly, you can unmute and speak as we give our speaker a chance to cool down kidogo. I know the questions zimekuja kama stima, kama umeme, but let's give Vallent a little bit of chance to relax and ask questions. So who wants to go first, Kylie?
Me. Hello everyone. My name is Priscilla. Sorry I came in late. So I'm just wondering what is the main cause of epilepsy, and is there treatment for it?
All right.
Okay. Let me just answer the questions as they come. She has asked what is the major cause of epilepsy and whether it is treatable or not. Well, the major cause of epilepsy is during childbirth and pregnancy. That is when somebody, a mother maybe, has gets a prolonged labor. Instead of giving birth to a child the normal hours, the hours get the labor pain gets prolonged. So during this process, the baby's brain lack enough oxygen, and we said earlier that epilepsy is lack of enough oxygen to the brain, lack of enough oxygen supply to the brain. So that is the major cause of epilepsy. But there are some other many other causes of epilepsy. One can get an accident, a road accident, and then the brain gets injured. When you get brain injury without seeking immediate medication, then you may develop epilepsy. Another cause is if you have any form of growth maybe to the brain, on the brain. For example, if you have those who have meningitis are most likely to develop epilepsy at one time point in their lives. Also, there are some conditions that are related to epilepsy. For example, maybe somebody is not born with epilepsy, or maybe, but he has other conditions like neurological disorders like autism, cerebral palsy. That person, in fact, the statistics says that 30% of people with autism and cerebral palsy have epilepsy and vice versa. So these conditions also are related. Another one is you might find somebody with a stroke that is convulsing also. So there are some conditions that also are also related to epilepsy. And currently I'm doing a research on how epilepsy is related to bipolar and sickle cell. And soon I will release the results. So the major cause of epilepsy are the ones that I've counted during birth, the prolonged labor. 2, road accident and you injure your brain, but you don't take immediate medical attention. And then any growth in the brain. So that's why you always say anyone can develop epilepsy at any point of his or her life. Yes.
All right, Christine, I hope your question is answered.
Yeah, my question has been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person with a question?
Maybe you can check on the comment sessions. If there are some questions, then we can answer.
Okay. Okay, so far I see none in the comment section, but well, let's continue with my engagement with you. So I'd like to know the difference between epilepsy, seizure, and convulsions, or are they terms that are related?
Actually, seizures and the conversion is just the same thing, but the words are just are different. It is just the same thing. Yes.
It's the same thing. So what are these? What's the difference between seizure and epilepsy? Because I understand that most people confuse between seizure and epilepsy. So
seizure having fits. How I don't know how well I can explain fits. Okay, when somebody with epilepsy or the other related conditions that I've mentioned has these conversions, if you see their legs or the hands are moving and shaking, that is what we call epilepsy seizures or epilepsy fits or even attack. That is the easiest term you always use. But this one not only happen to people with epilepsy, even people with diabetes convulse. So convulsion is different from epilepsy. Convulsion is just a sign of epilepsy. I hope I hope I'm not confusing you guys. Convulsion is just a sign of epilepsy. Because other people with these conditions, other conditions like the ones that I've mentioned, like stroke, they also convulse, but they are not epileptic. They have those other conditions. So convulsion can happen to anyone, anybody with any other condition. But epilepsy is a brain condition that comes due to lack of enough oxygen to the brain. And also, I've forgotten to inform you guys that we have different types of epilepsy, more than 40 types of epilepsy. In fact, you can find that I am epileptic, someone else is also epileptic, but our epilepsy conditions are different. So we have different types of epilepsy, more than 40 types. Yeah.
All right. Mona Hamisi Ali asks, is there a relationship between epilepsy? Is there a relationship between psychosis and epilepsy?
Pardon, a relationship between?
Psychosis. Yeah, so is
Yeah.
there?
Well, I can say there is, because people with psychosis also convulse, just like people with epilepsy. So there is, and I think it's also a brain condition, a neurological disorder. So both of them are neurological disorder, and you can find that a person with psychosis and a person with epilepsy, we are using the same anti-epileptic drugs. Yes. So they are somehow related.
Oh, sorry to maybe for purposes of somebody who does not understand, what is psychosis?
Pardon?
What is psychosis for purposes of maybe one person who does not understand the term?
Psychosis. Well, psychosis is a mental disorder that is characterized by a disconnection from reality. It is just living in denial. A medical disorder, a mental disorder, where somebody doesn't accept his or herself. And once somebody doesn't accept his or herself or condition, it can end up in stress or depression. Does that to the brain, it will stress the brain. And when the brain is stressed up, somebody can get convulsions.
All right. Another question pops from Tony. What are the first aid measures that you can give to somebody who is epileptic? And maybe you can fuse that question with the do's and don'ts, because kwa mtaa zetu, we normally do some things that are normally, they are not supposed to be done to epileptic people. But anyway, you'll find we Kenyans, see what Kenya ni akina nani, we will do them. So you can maybe come up with telling us the do's and don'ts. What are we supposed to do while maybe giving somebody first aid, and what are we not supposed to do at the same time?
Okay, that's a good question. I think everybody in the community, or rather in our society, should know, at least have a little knowledge about epilepsy first aid. Now, let me start with the first aid itself, and then I'll go to the don'ts. Number one, when somebody has got an attack next to you, stay calm. I know epilepsy, that scene is scary. And even me, sometimes it scares me as a person with epilepsy and handling persons with epilepsy in the community. But we are advised to be calm. Why? We are advised to be calm because, for example, I have an attack right now, and we were together somewhere, and I get an attack. Shortly after that attack, I will get back to normal and will start regaining. And when I look at you or the people around me and see fear or worry on your faces, I will get stressed up. And once I'm stressed up, I'm most likely to get another attack. So the best thing is keep calm. That is number one. Two, remove the client, sorry, I'm used to use the term client. Remove the patient out of danger. Any danger. Maybe he was sitting on a chair and he has got an attack. Make sure that person is lying somewhere that is safe. Put something soft on his head, cushion his head, and then just make sure that the surrounding is safe, like you put him or her out of danger completely. Maybe he was next to an open water or next to fire. Remove that person from that place and make sure that he is safe. Then As another thing, is loosen his or her clothes. Maybe he was wearing tight clothes. Try and loosen the clothes, and then leave that person. Give him some time for the whole process to happen. Then after that, as you see, as the attack, the seizures will be stopping. Try and turn that person to lay on his or her side, either right or left. It's allowed, because if you put him lay on his or right or left side, it will help him in regaining very fast. Now, on the don'ts, number one, don't put anything in that person's mouth. You know, many people believe that when somebody has an attack, atauma ulimi wake, we will be biting our teeth, our tongue. It's true. Sometimes we bite our tongue, but that one does not. That does not mean that you should put anything into our mouth, because during that time, as we are having these attacks, what we need most is enough oxygen to our brain. Remember, we said epilepsy is lack of enough oxygen to the brain. So during this time, as we are having our attacks, don't put anything in our mouth, because at this time we will not be breathing normally using our nose. So utapata mtu amepanua mdomo, mate inatoka kwa mdomo. Sasa because you feel like this person will hurt his tongue, wacha nimweke kalamu, wacha niweke kijiko, ama wacha nimweke nguo, so that he or she doesn't injure his tongue. You will be doing more harm than good to this person. Just let him or her hurt the tongue. Kwani inamaliza siku ngapi na inapona? Like for me, I used to hurt my tongue, bite my tongue all the time. I have an attack. But after 2 days, hivi na gargle salty water and then inapona. So if you do that, mtu anaweza kufa. By the way, it can even lead to death. Another thing that we should also be doing is at the time the seizure, because epilepsy, normal epilepsy attack should not go more than 5 minutes. If it goes more than 5 minutes, then that one should be treated as an emergency, and that person should be rushed to the hospital. Yeah.
What about giving the person something maybe to drink later on? Maybe let's talk of water. Is it allowed?
During the process, on the process, when that person is still having an attack, don't give that person anything to drink. But when he or she has regained, you can talk to him or her, reassure that everything is okay, everything will be well, and then maybe you can give him or her something little to re-energize, because during that process huwa tunatumia a lot of strength. That conversion inamaliza chakula, wacha niwaambie, kwa mwili. Ukitoka hapo uko na njaa, umechoka, so we need something after the attack, but not during the attack.
A question that maybe most of us might be asking ourselves, mbona huwa mnatoa povu kwa mdomo? Like, what's the rationale behind the foam that comes out of the mouth while you are convulsing?
Well, that one depends now on the type of epilepsy that that person has. I told you epilepsy, we have more than 40 types of epilepsy. And so they are being classified depending on the part of the brain or the side of the brain that is injured. So if you've been keen, you will find that somebody maybe has epilepsy. During attack, atoi fomu yoyote kwa mdomo, mate yoyote, aendi short call, there's no fluid coming from any part of that person's body. But mwingine unapata akiwa anataka hivi anatoa mate mingi, anakojoa, you know. So this one depends on the type of epilepsy, which is being classified depending on the side of the brain that is affected. For example, in my own situation, the side of my brain that is affected with epilepsy is the side that deals with memory, memorizing names of people, names of places, and even direction. Mimi naweza kukuuliza stage yenu ni jina stage yenu mara mingi. Yenye, like this time round I'm coming to visit you, I'll ask you, nunashuka wapi, stage yenu inaitwaje? The next you tell me, the next time I come, same until several times. Unaweza niambia jina yako saa hii, the next minute I don't even remember your name. This is because the part of my brain that is affected with epilepsy has interfered. It is the part that deals with the memory of places and people's names. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for that insightful argument. I would also like to remind the BBYI members and also the members generally in attendance having a form in the chat box. So kindly fill that form to confirm your attendance for the session. In the meantime, if you have any other question, you can ask, and I will be more than willing to respond. I can see that we are almost clocking the 1 hour mark. We almost clocked the 1 hour mark, so that means that we are almost coming to the end of the session. So hatutaki kufungia mtu yoyote nje. So if you have any question, any concern about epilepsy, kindly please ask now.
Hello everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes, I can
Latif.
hear you.
My name is Latif and I have a question. Okay, so the drugs that you take for the epilepsy, do they completely eliminate them for as long as you're taking them? Do they reduce the frequency, or do they make the attacks less worse, or what? How do they work? How do they function for you?
Okay, when it comes to the drugs, the anti-epileptic drugs that we take, it depends on so many things. One, I might be taking the right drugs, the right dosage, the right drug combination prescribed by the best doctor. But if I don't take precautions, some precautions depending on the epilepsy type that I have, the drugs might not help me. For example, when somebody is hungry, he or she is likely to get an attack, because when you are hungry, your brain will be stressed up. And remember, we said from the beginning that epilepsy doesn't want anything straining the brain. So when you are hungry and you are taking the anti-epileptic drugs in an empty stomach, you are doing more harm than good to yourself. You'll continue experiencing the attacks. When you are having infections, especially malaria, and you are even taking anti-epileptic drugs na ulali ndani ya neti, unaumwa na mbu kila mara, you don't care, you don't check your malaria condition, you don't take anti-malarial drugs. Hata kama unameza dawa ya epilepsy, it won't help you, because malaria is a trigger. When you are taking anti-epileptic drugs and you are not eating well, a balanced diet, you're taking the anti-epileptic drugs and all the time uko tu na stress mingi, anything stress, you are exposing yourself to so much stress, you are exposing yourself to a lot of excitement. my friend, these drugs might not help you. So it depends with so many things. And remember, different people with different types of epilepsy have different triggers. For example, myself, one of the major triggers that I have is stress. Another one is malaria or any other infection. I remember last year, July, I had COVID-19 and I really had a hard time. It triggered my attack that had been missing for almost 4 years. But because I had an infection, that is COVID-19, I got an attack. Yet I was on drugs and
Hello, Vallent. All right, so guys, I can see Vallent is experiencing some technical hitch. In the meantime, let's continue filling up the form that is in the chat box. And since we are almost concluding the session, kindly let us prepare hizo maswali. Like we can have like a round of like 5 final questions or 3 as I look for Vallent. Or Katile can do it. Katile.
Hello, do we have any question?
Hello, yes, I have a question.
Yes, Nabila.
I was kicked out due to internet issues earlier. I don't know if it was answered. My question is, what type of epilepsy does Vallent have and what does she use to manage it, the drugs used?
okay, I think I had answered that, but I can answer it again. My type of epilepsy is a generalized epilepsy or generalized seizure, meaning it happens generally in my almost the whole of my brain is affected. So it starts in one part of the brain, then it spreads to the whole brain, so that it is general. It is called generalized tonic-clonic seizures. Yeah, and I manage it using the anti-epileptic drugs prescribed by my neurologist that I take daily. Yes.
Okay, I was also asking the exact drug that you take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because I'm in the medical field and I was just wondering what drug has been working for you.
No, I've been using different drugs, by the way. I've used phenobarbital, but phenobarbital has a lot of side effects on patients. So even in our clinic, we don't use it so much. So far, we only have one client who uses phenobarbital. Then I've also used Tegretol or carbamazepine, but I've used carbamazepine for a very, very long time. Right now, I've used it consistently for 4 years, and I've seen for all those 4 years, I've only got attack once. That was triggered by the infection that I have, the COVID-19, which was also very mild, according to my mom who saw the process. But right now, I was early this month, my doctor changed the drug for me, and currently I'm using Keppra. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much for that explanation. And how often would you advise people with epilepsy to go for checkups?
Pardon?
How often would you advise people with epilepsy to go for checkups?
It will be advised, like for us, we run a monthly epilepsy clinic. I visit my doctor during that monthly epilepsy clinic is when I go to see my doctor. So depending on the frequency of the seizure, generally a person with epilepsy should be in constant communication with his or her neurologist, even if you don't visit him physically, but you should be communicating with him frequently, because sometimes maybe the prescription is not even working. Maybe you are getting a series of attacks or you are on drugs. So you need to call him and inform him so that he can advise. So, but the minimal time somebody should be going for checkup is once in a month.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
A quick question to you, Vallent.
Yes.
Since this is an inherited disease, are there means of preventing the infant from inheriting the disease, maybe from the parent?
Well, there is, though some percentage, though it is very little, of people with epilepsy also acquire it genetically. But that one is very little, 1% actually. But you can prevent that, one, by visiting an expectant mother, visiting the antenatal clinics. Don't miss doing that. Two, delivering in hospitals. Especially, I don't know why, but I prefer government hospitals. Then avoid, like, there's this issue when somebody has given birth, especially with these wamama wa mtaa, that person has not gone to the hospital. Eti mtoto, kichwa ya mtoto inakuwa shaped. After giving birth, you are trying to shape the head of the child. That can be a cause of epilepsy. So that one should be avoided. I remember I have a client, one of my clients, that got epilepsy because when she was young, she was sleeping on the double decker, kitanda ya juu. And then one time, sijui walikuwa wanacheza, then she fell from the bed. And that way, her brain got injured. Akona epilepsy hadi saizi. So you should try as much as possible to protect your head. Ukipanda pikipiki, vaa helmet. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Another person is asking, is it advisable to conceive? If you are epileptic, is it advisable to conceive? And also, another person asks, what are the effects? Do the anti-epileptic
I can't
drugs
hear you well. I can't hear
sorry.
you well.
And now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so one person is asking, is it advisable to conceive if you are epileptic? Then another person is also asking, what are the does the anti-epileptic drugs have any effect on fertility?
Okay. A person with epilepsy can conceive. We are just normal human beings, imagine. Hata sisi even imagine in my community, I've met 2 people with severe, actually 2 young girls with severe epilepsy. Wenye walikuwa raped and they delivered normally. Walishika mimba, wakakaa na mimba for 9 months, wakadeliver normally, even without CS. So a person with epilepsy, yes, can conceive and bear a child. On the issue of the side effects of the anti-epileptic drugs, on whether it can interfere with somebody's fertility, it depends on so many things. As I said earlier, 1, the drug that you are taking, the dosage, or even the drug combination. Some can affect, some cannot affect. So it will depend on 1, your type of epilepsy, the kind of drug you are taking and its side effects, and or the drug combination. But the percentage is not high. People with the epilepsy, we are fertile, tunazalisha, tunashika mimba.
All right. What is the effect of maybe changing the drug? Like today you've used some very big terms of the drugs that are used for epilepsy. But what is the effect of maybe kuchanga madawa? Unatumia drug A, kesho unatumia drug B, maybe after some time unatumia drug C. Kuna effect yoyote?
That again will depend on the type of epilepsy that you have. Remember, we don't have anything to to test or rather confirm, other than the signs that we see that somebody is epileptic. Even the scanning, the EEG, the CT scan or whatever that we always go for are not showing that, or rather meant to tell us that I have epilepsy. No, they are just used to tell us which part of the brain is affected and how big or small is the scar in the brain. EO2. So for these drugs, they will only help us. The drugs will only depend on the type of epilepsy that a person has.
Okay, then I can see one final question in the chat box. How do you manage people with epilepsy and if they have other conditions like HIV, DM? I don't know what it is, but
well, epilepsy. Someone with epilepsy can have multiple conditions. For example, I have a client who has epilepsy. She's HIV positive. She's also asthmatic. So this doctor, the neurologist that is seeing that person, and these other doctors must connect before they prescribe for you any medication. Because if maybe I'm HIV positive, or if maybe I have another condition, I have maybe diabetes, and I'm also epileptic, maybe the diabetic drugs that I'm using might be contradicting the anti-epileptic drugs that I'm using. So instead of me getting better, I get frequent attacks. So if you have multiple conditions together with epilepsy, the best thing is, connect your doctors before any prescription. If you walk into any health facility, the first thing you should be telling that doctor is about the conditions that you have, so that while they are when they will be prescribing your medication or anything, they will choose drugs that do not contradict themselves. Yeah, I think that is the most important thing.
Thank you very much. Somebody just joined. And now, Liz, how do auras manifest? Because I heard it helps with alerting patients.
Auras come differently. My auras are just signs that you are going to have an attack. Some people do not get auras. Some people get them, and mine might be different from yours. They should not, like, sio lazima zote zikuwe the same. So the way they manifest themselves are different per person. For example, mine, sometimes I know, like, describing auras even to the neurologist is something very hard. But we know some of us can feel when an attack wants to come. Yeah. So when you feel, you try as much as possible to be safe. Maybe hata ulikuwa unachota maji kwa kisima, which should not be accepted. Unatoka hapo mbio kupata kwingine, or bibi ulikuwa unapika, which should not also be accepted if your condition has not been well managed. So ukisikia hiyo dalili, the sign, the aura, unatoka next to the fire. It's just a sign showing you, or rather warning you, that you are about to get an attack. Yet these auras, sometimes they come, the notice is too short. Like, you feel a sign that you have an attack is coming, but before even you move an inch, hiyo attack yenyewe imeshakuja. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for the response. I can see we are already at 1 minute past 9. I hope
Yeah.
And I wish to thank you on my of BBY for gracing this event. Adhiambo.
Yeah.
It's been a very informative session. We've enjoyed it. We've learned a lot. Personally, I'm not a medic like some of my colleagues here, but I've got to learn a lot about epilepsy as a condition. And I hope that everybody gains something from this session. I'd also like to thank my coordinator, Leopatile Mutuko, for giving me this opportunity to moderate the session. Nimejaribu kidogo. Thank you all for joining. I can see we were at 21, saizi tuko around 18. That's a very good number for a session like this. And I hope that whatever we've learned here, we'll put it into practice out there. Let us continue putting out sensitization programs out there. Let us continue being ambassadors of epilepsy. Let's talk about it. Let's create that awareness. Let people know something about epilepsy. You can follow Vallent on their Facebook page at Geno Epilepsy Center for Empowerment and Epilepsy Warriors. That's their Facebook page. More insights. Get to know what they do. Get to know everything about them. Get to know about. I'm sure the CBO is doing some amazing job in Nyanza. And we really hope that Vallent, you can continue growing your CBO. Yeah. We are also waiting for that research that you're conducting about the relationship between bipolar and sickle cell. We are eagerly waiting for it. I hope as soon as it is, you can share with us so that we can be informed. All right. So in case you wish to follow up this session, in case unataka kupitia the session again. Maybe there's something you didn't get. The session was recorded, so it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, that is DBYI, Barrier Breakers Youth Initiative. You can check it out there later on. And, yeah, let's stay informed. So from my end, thank you for your time. Being a director of such a large CBO, you must be a very busy person. So actually, time to engage with us. I mean, we feel very humbled, Vallent. We feel very humbled, and we sincerely hope that tukikuita tena siku nyingine you can show up. I'm dead sure that maswali ziko mingi. I mean, it's a wide topic, right? So,
Yep.
tukikuita tena, please feel free to show up, right?
Thank you very much. I'll be glad to work with you people, to collaborate with you people. And so long as we are still alive, I think our goal is one, to make, give hope to people with epilepsy in our different communities. Because even the word Geno is a Luo word meaning hope. I chose that name because I realized people with epilepsy like me in the community have lost hope. We have been sidelined in a lot of activities. So we've lost hope. So the main aim of Geno is just to bring back hope to the hopeless people with epilepsy in the community. I'll be glad. I'm so grateful for the session, for the invitation. It was a very great honor. Imagine I get this invitation from close to, I think, 5 different people who are like willing to share my number with you guys. I don't know where you guys advertised the whole story, but 4 people forwarded the same to me. So I'm so grateful, and I feel honored to be your speaker. Remember, we always have a monthly epilepsy clinic, like this every last Thursday of the month. Like this week on Thursday, we'll be having our monthly epilepsy clinic. Anyone, tell anybody with epilepsy, tell every caretaker that you know to attend the clinic and get help. Asante sana.
Asante sana, Vallent Royal Adhiambo, sorry, Director, Geno Epilepsy Center and Epilepsy Warriors. It was nice having you.
Asante sana.
Over to you, Coordinator Career.
Hello. For me, I've learned a lot. I would like also to have a recap of the session, so I'll also follow in YouTube and listen more. Thank you so much, our speaker, and thank you everyone for attending. And feel free to reach out to the speaker. Feel free to reach out to us for other upcoming sessions on creating awareness on different non-communicable diseases, and we hear how the journey is for them. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.